So the only secure and safe place in the whole of Nigeria now is Banana.
I'm not saying those are the only
secured
places.
Are you going to pay for the security and for...
Yes, if the money is there, no problem.
No, if the money... do you have the money? That's what we're asking.
I do not have the
money. How much money do you think it will cost you to live in a safe neighborhood?
I'm not talking about 100 or 200,000. I'm
just
talking
give
about
us
millions.
How much? How much millions?
I wouldn't mind if I have up to 500 or 600 million in my account.
But who would mind if you have it?
Now, getting a land now, you need about 1.6 or 2 million to get a land.
Is
it 1.6 million? Is it Naira?
Now, yes.
You need a land of this size.
So we're having a conversation today, and the conversation is, what do people need to start families and to have their first children? And why is this important? We had the very, very second time we recorded, we didn't plan to record this podcast. Okay, so the way this stuff was, things didn't plan out this way. While we started out, this was supposed to be a focus group. This was supposed to be the part of, when you have a business model canvas, for those of you who are, and you bring in people and you interview them, what are your pains? What are your gains? What products and services will solve your problems? This was what you're supposed to be. And then gradually we just figured out that, somebody probably might be interested in listening to what people's issues are. So that's how we started out. So the very, very second edition of the episode, we brought some people in and we had conversations with them, and what we told them, we asked them questions about what do they need to start a family. And we had all manner of funny answers. And we had to help correct people's views. So that's part of the conversation we're having today. It's practical. What do we need to get to the next point in our lives so that we can be honest and we can work with what is available? Okay, so we're going to start that question. I'm going to ask that question. For those people who want to have children, for those people who want to get married and start their first family, what do you need to start out? I don't want to call people who feels free to jump in.
I am Adekola. I'm an expectant dad. What you need to start a family, first of all, as a man, you need a source of income, no matter how small it is, but it must be able to sustain you and your wife, and at least a child.
You need a woman first. In fact, that's even the third thing.
If you want to start a family, you can't start a family all by yourself.
You need to start a family. We're talking about starting a family in Nigeria.
In Nigeria,
Africa.
Can't start, once it's called a family, definitely you must have a partner. So are you telling me I should start from having a partner first, or you understand?
No. The first thing you need the wisdom to do it. And I'm not being philosophical. Let me. Okay.
Solomon.
It just goes down.
I know everybody wants to start a family, but what is going to actually make you successful in that marriage, first of all, or in that relationship, whatever you call it, is first of all that what I call wisdom is the maturity. A lot of people are actually boys and girls, but they think they are grown up because they have broad chests and some beards on their faces. But that's the first thing you need truly is wisdom. Nobody can go. You can't even date a girl for 3 years without being wise.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Okay.
This is my follow-up.
Okay.
So how do you know when you have gathered enough wisdom?
Good.
Where do you get the wisdom from?
How do you know you've gathered enough wisdom is, for instance, when you are placed in the difficult position of what we're talking about before, somebody comes up to you with pregnancy and you're not too sure, and then you still have the tenacity to logically reason with that person, and maybe you're not even the owner of the pregnancy, but you're still that's civil to be able you are not coming out with a cutlass.
So let me get now. So
that's an example. Let me give another.
Gabriel.
No, it's not.
Gabriel, listen. Sorry to cut you. Okay. But there's a reason why I have to do this.
Okay.
There are so many people who are foolish people.
They're getting married.
They have children. Okay. All right. So
are they happily married?
And they are, whether they are, we can't say.
They are happy.
Some of them, for those who are not even getting married, some people have children and they started their lives raising kids.
Eating for wisdom, the wine.
We're being practical. We understand the philosophical point of view. There's a part of it that, yes, you need to have a measure of wisdom. But the conversation we are having is, okay, let's assume that you have 10 kilograms of wisdom, and that's what you need. And you have 10 kg of wisdom, and you have gotten that now.
Okay.
Let's move, because if you can't measure it, if you really can't assess it, it becomes, what do you need to enter the university? You can't use wisdom. You're going to be assessed.
The example, of your 5 credits.
You need 5 credits. English and maths has to be there. And then you have to write the JAMB exam and at least score above the cutoff, preferably above 200. And pray also that you score far above other people who want to enter university. Because if everybody scores 400 and there are 1.7 million people who write the JAMB exam,
You're out.
you can't see. Do you understand? So that's the conversation. You're about to talk. Okay, so are you answering the question personally or you're answering it philosophically?
Personally.
Okay, so what do you need to start a family?
So sometimes I get the question, why you're not married, or why don't you have, like most of my friends, they already have kids, they're already married. But I give them this, there's nobody yet. But deep down, I know that 3 years ago when my mates were getting married, having kids, if you had called me and said, Maka, come and have a child, we are ready, I would probably run. Because at that point in my life, I don't think I was mentally ready. Now, for me, I think for many people, parenting is something, it's like learning on the job. You go into it and you learn from your partner, you learn from even your children when you eventually have them. Now, if you ask me, let's make babies, let's have children, and I'm the kind of person that I don't know how, I don't like catering for people. I get irritated when I see children cry, I'm not mentally ready. I'm not. If I have to wake up and I'm on the go, you might tell me that you might think of it like, she's never ready to calm down to even I hear parents who say, when they had their first children, they took the child to school and they forgot that they had children in school, those kind of issues. So are you mentally ready are you ready to learn? Are you prepared to have that
ready?
Experience?
So let me ask this question right now. Because since you're speaking of mental readiness, are you ready, right, to open your chest to percussion? Do you know what I mean by that? Are you ready to enter the arena with this conversation? Do you understand? I'm asking, are you granting us access to tear your arguments apart?
Yes, I want to.
And you will not take offense at it.
No.
Okay, so she has opened up the door. So you're not mentally ready. How do you know when you're mentally ready?
Are you the last born? I think that they are not. Because most times it's the last born that says
Personal to her. Just like
if you are the first born and you have kids and you have younger ones,
Mentally, you automatically.
they don't need you to be ready. No, it's not a question, am I ready or not? Or your dad is out, your mom is out, you are less than 3 same siblings. Automatically, they are not asking, are you ready or not? You just have to do the job. So the question of mental readiness, I don't think there is okay, how do you even know you are mentally ready?
We'll come back to you. I'm not going to let you off the hook with that, what you said, though. I'm not going to. We're having practical, frank conversations. Because there are lots of...
Or maybe she wants to put it this way. Maybe have you decided
that
you want to start a family? Because when you decide and things comes up, you'll be able to face the consequences of your decision.
That's
you understand?
View, yeah.
So
Okay,
but
yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah. It's not really the same thing. So let me chip in this while. I think
I'm not sure I got what he said, though.
I think I understand
what is it? Have you decided?
Have you
It's
decided?
so I don't know if it's the right word to use. I was just like, it's something similar to what Amaka is saying, and probably I can correlate it with yours. I don't know how I could find the balance. When you say it's you if I say use the word man up or being intentional, we're talking about family. No, it's not about mental. You need to be intentional.
Definitely.
When you say
You guys are using words
You are
that
using too much words.
But
Yes, I don't see
English
the
don't
translate
explain.
into Yoruba for you.
Intentional.
How do you cannot what do you mean by intentional?
Because to start up a family, you can't just say, I want to start up a family.
No, you don't have to. You don't need to make a decision. You just come to you. I'm pregnant. That decision is starting. You don't have to be intentional about it.
I have a perspective, but you can't come to me with pregnancy and you tell me I need to be ready.
Okay, stay there.
Why are you
What is saying there? I don't know.
You might think it's odd.
Similarly, all right, let's not derail the conversation. We can throw this conversation into debate, but at the end of the day, the debates must provide practical solutions. Okay? You want to open, a lot of time people say things and usually they get away with the things they say because they have not been challenged. And then someone like me comes along and I will sit down and I will listen to what you say. And I will listen closely and I want to challenge it. Okay? So that's because the unexamined life is not worth living. Okay? You can be right, or sometimes you can have the knowledge to make the right sets of decisions. So you are saying you have to be intentional. Maybe I should clarify now. How do you know when it is time to be intentional?
You say yes, you impregnated the lady.
That's why I didn't agree with that.
Let's not use let's remove the impregnating part.
Exactly.
Okay. That's one route of forcing a family to start. Okay, but let's assume that you've made a decision that you are not going to get pregnant for anybody.
Okay.
Before you get married to them. And let's make sure you say you're not going to impregnate anyone before you marry them. Okay? We've removed that now.
Okay.
So now,
You are not too young.
how do you determine you are intentional?
Okay, I'll personalize it. And let me just share a bit kind of history for instance intentional. So let's say about 5 years ago, everything's just like everybody felt like this guy is ready to, like you have everything it wants to get married. And at that time, I was not even thinking anything close. In as much as it's coming to me here and there, like the word is coming to my ear, it doesn't resonate with me. But after, let's say things happen, like that was history and some things happened and you kind of take a life audit. You look at your goals and the benchmark you set to yourself. And it seems like, okay, initially I was on track, but something happened. It falls back. So you kind of do a review and like, this didn't work out or this didn't work out. And I feel like, you know what, why they were telling you, for me now, why they were telling you, you were not thinking about it. You were not taking note of those little things that matters.
Okay, so you still haven't answered. Listen, you've done a lot of philosophizing. You've done a lot of philosophizing, which is good. But you have not given us anything that we can work with. Let me give you yardsticks. I'll give you the kind of yardstick that I think. Okay? Most men who graduate university, all right, very rarely get married before the age of 28. Very rarely get married before the age of 28. Do you know why? Because it usually takes about 3, 4, 5 years if they are working to find their footing, unless they have their family supporting them, or unless they are going to marry somebody into one bedroom in a family house. I'm telling you, most men, in fact, most men may fool around with their girlfriends, 28, usually between the age of 28 and 33. For most men who finish university, is the age at which they can now say, okay, my mind is there mentally, I am prepared. They have to get a bit of their finances in order. And then it gets to a point in which you're like, I can no longer be the bachelor. You know what? Okay. So we're having those conversations. So when you tell me now, if I'm having conversations with you and you're telling me that mentally you are not there, you're not giving us any yardstick to work with. You're not giving women anything to make decision with. For example, Amaka is listening. Okay. If Amaka tells me she's dating someone in her class, so if she tells she's dating someone in her class, and I ask you, the person, is he Hausa, Fulani, or Yoruba? And she tells me that he's Yoruba. Is he from a family where he's inheriting money or he has a throne waiting for him? She says no. This person you're dating most likely will not marry you.
Definitely.
It's not because he doesn't want to. It's because his answer will be
I don't have
the answer of
no mentally.
His own answer 10 years from now.
I exaggerated.
You get me? So we're having those conversations. It has to be practical. We have to follow so that we can see the barriers that we are putting in our own path and we can make decisions. There are people who we call the marrying kind of men and the marrying kind of women. We may have to make trade-offs. I didn't want to say this early. Okay, but the reason why we are having this conversation is so that whoever listens to this, they have yardsticks that they can use to make for decision making and for planning purposes.
So I think this issue of this mental illness is just like an excuse that I don't think it's old water because hold on.
Let's hear.
Let me
Is he married?
I don't think it's old water because it's like you asking a boy that just finished SSC, when will you enter school? I tell you, he's going to be mentally ready. Papa, you are 16, you are writing job and entry. You will be ready in the process. So all those things, hold on now. Now, if you find an average girl that just finished school and says he's working and he has gotten and he sees a man he likes and the man is going to, they are getting married now. All these are mentally ready. All those are just excuse to cover up. It has hold on. Now, I'm not saying this to put a benchmark, although we all know that a benchmark, of course, a lady, if you are 25, most times they are always getting to her. So if I want to get my 21, 22, 23, a man, the only criteria I say mentally ready. Can you take care of your wife and your children and pay the house? All this mental readiness. If you are doing a wedding and you are paying for all, they don't ask you, are you mentally ready? You are paying with cash. So all this. If you are a man that is probably 28, has a good sort of income, has a good girl wants to marry, has the money, he's ready. And all these ladies that are saying, you are not, Baba, if you see a guy you love, they can take care of you. You are ready. Once you are ready. It's not an excuse.
Mental issues because most of the youths, they've engaged themselves in relationships that are toxic at the early stage of their life. So that has actually created a kind of fear in them. Had it been a girl of 19 now having a boyfriend and her parent is aware of it, it's absurd. She shouldn't be thinking of a relationship as at that age.
I understand you want to tackle Oji and all that. Oji has told you his position. His position is this, is that if you have your finances in order as a man,
Definitely.
okay, and you can take care of wife and children and pay for the bills and all that, you are ready to take on the responsibilities. That's his position. You are telling him that you can have that. Now, you are telling me you can have all that and still somewhere in your mind, you are not ready to take on those responsibilities. Exactly. That means you have the resources available to support a wife and children, but you don't have the faculty. That's your own. Is that your position? Just yes or no?
Yeah.
That's your position. Okay, so we know what your position is. We know what Oji's position is. You wanted to clarify. You are saying that a lot of people have been in all manner of relationships that are not going anywhere.
Yes.
And
that
then,
actually created a kind of fear.
Okay, so it has created fear. Esther mentioned there, what you stated was the fact that your parents, respectfully, your parents' relationship, you didn't see it work out. And because you did not see it work out, all right, you are afraid of getting into a relationship that you probably maybe you and your husband will be having issues, either throwing punches or disrespecting each other. Am I paraphrasing what is inside your mind that I have not said? Okay, that's essential. Okay, so fine. You stated what your fears are. Let's remove all your fears now. Let's put your fears. We'll come back and address those fears one by one. But let's take those fears out. Okay, so let's assume that you, from the selection pool of men, you will actually find a man who will not beat you or who you will not disrespect each other. Let's assume such a man exists. Are you with me? So let's have that. Let's assume that you've gotten that man has gotten his money in order. I would ask you a question about what money in order means later. So now, if those two things are in place, do you have any barrier to your mental readiness? No, beautiful. So we've been able to get to the root of the matter then.
Really nice one.
Do you understand? Nice. The root of the matter is not mental ready. The root of the matter is this: finding a respectful man, okay, who can support and pay for a family. If you have that, right? Are those the kind of men you're looking for? No. Are those the kind of men typically that you're dating presently? The men you're dating or the men that you go on dates with, can they support a family? Be straightforward. Just answer. Well, I want to can they support?
Yes.
Okay, so now what does a man need to support a family? Men, please do not say anything. Let's hear from the women so that we can go back and forth and then we can agree. What does a man need to support a family? What does he need?
Okay. One is the man should be more than the woman financially.
What does being more
Yeah,
than
this
the
is
woman financially mean?
it.
Like Fatima Dangote now. You know Fatima Dangote? Dangote's daughter.
Okay.
All right. Are you saying that any man that must marry her must be more than her financially?
Okay, don't let me go there now. I'm now. You said myself.
Okay, the man must be more than you financially.
Yes, it must be more than me financially.
What does that mean?
Okay, now I'm living alone. I'm very comfortable in a room and parlor self-con. So you can't expect me to get married to you now and still live in a room and parlor self-con. Or now move to a room, face me, I face you. I can't go down. Like, I'm getting married. My life, I should elevate in status. I should not go down.
Okay, beautiful. So now you see that when you pro people, you get to the root of, you start getting it. So effectively, one of the things that one of the barriers that, not barriers, but one of the things that you have to keep at the back of your mind is that anybody you date must be a lifestyle step up from where you are.
Yes.
And if you do not, so if you find a man who can support a family, who respects you, or he's not that lifestyle step up, it's a no for you.
No, like, that means it's not even on my level.
No, like the question.
What is your level? And what do you define by? Because you see, the reason why we're asking these questions is because a lot of times people don't ask themselves this question. I'm not putting you on the spot.
I understand.
I want to sidestep. That's why I stayed away from marriage, because there's some words that once you start using it, people will start dancing around. You'll lock me in. Okay, so I stay away from the word marriage. I talk about family. You mentioned about I spoke to you that what does a man need to support a family? That was my question. Your response to that was not what he needs to support a family. Your response went to the lifestyle that you are presently living. I said that what does that man need to support a family? Your own man, what does he need? What do you see supporting the family as?
Number one thing is the finances.
You said he has to be more than you financially. That's what you said.
Because he's going to be carrying more responsibility than me.
Okay, so let's put this responsibility in Naira and Kobo in 2023.
Yeah,
I'll tell you why you have to.
In a month.
Based on what you aim.
Let me tell you why you have to do that. Listen, if you tell me that a man has to be taller than you, I have to know how tall you are. You can't say a man has to be taller than you and then we now start looking for men and we don't know how tall you are. Okay, how tall is she? You are 5'8". Okay, you have to be 5'9". So the man removes himself. You cannot say the man has to be more than you and I don't know what you are.
Yeah, valid. It's one part.
No, that's
citing an example.
That's one example, but you mentioned financially. So what is that? Have you had this conversation with people you have dated?
No.
Not really. So this is your first time?
Yeah.
Thank God for podcast.
Gentlemen, please do not go on dates with ladies and you don't have this kind of conversations. You have to lock them into specifics. I'm serious. You have to lock them into specifics. Otherwise, barriers will be in your pathway and you probably won't understand. Okay, so what exactly now is more than you? So the guy cannot stay in one bedroom and you cannot stay in more than one room, one parlor.
Yeah. Okay.
It has to be like two.
We are starting a family. Personally, when I get married, I want to give birth because I don't know what I'm waiting for again.
Okay.
I said
Yes,
how soon do you want to give birth?
Immediately, yeah.
Like 6 months after our marriage, yes, I should start.
So that means you must be pregnant 3 months before the wedding.
No. I meant 6 months after the marriage, I should get pregnant.
Yeah.
That means I'm enjoying our alone time for 6 months.
Well, you cannot. I'll tell you this as a doctor, you can't control that.
Yeah.
It can be controlled.
You can't.
I'm telling you.
mentioned something like that.
He's a doctor. You
can't control when you get pregnant. You hope
to get pregnant.
Okay.
You can ensure you don't get pregnant before 6 months, but that you get pregnant after 6 months, nobody can guarantee that.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay. I will prevent not getting pregnant.
So you start using contraceptives
while you're married.
When you just get married.
That would be. We will have discussed that one before this thing.
Okay, so I know I know that is not the conversation we are having. But I'll tell you that it's a very, very terrible idea. Okay, because you have no idea how long it will take for you to get pregnant. There are women who I know who all through their 20s and 30s stayed on birth control. Okay, and then when they now got into their late 30s, they now wanted to have children. They found out that they had fertility issues. If they had known, they would have started trying earlier. But that's story for another day. So you want to get a man, the man cannot be in a room and parlor self. He cannot be in a room and parlor self-contained. He has to be in more than a room and parlor self-contained.
Because we want to start procreating.
Or you want to go up and him should come down to you.
Okay, no, so we have that. Then the next, what does income mean?
From his income, we are able to pay the house rent.
What is that?
The house rent.
How much is the house rent?
I don't know the location.
You need to have an idea of what the house rent would be.
House rent of 350,000.
What part of Lagos is that?
I don't know of Lagos. Abeokuta.
Is that where you want to settle?
Do you want to live in Abeokuta?
That's where I live.
Is that where you want to settle?
I don't want to settle down. Anywhere quiet.
Not thought about it.
Anyway,
So what happens is because 350,000 probably is 350,000 going to get our accommodation. Will you get our accommodation in Maryland?
Never. Where she doesn't want to go to that level.
We have 350k. Where will you get your accommodation?
Probably in Ikorodu, yeah.
In Ikorodu?
Abeokuta, where I stay, my house rent is 300.
Exactly.
Okay, so where does he have to live? Because this is it. Let me tell you the story you've gone right now. You've told us, the gentleman here, that the guy cannot stay in a room and parlor. He has to stay in more. The problem with more room and parlor self-contained is if that room and parlor self-contained is probably in Maryland, or if it's even a room in Maryland, probably may cost more than your room and parlor self-contained in Abeokuta.
I would prefer that of Abeokuta to a room in Maryland.
Okay, so let's put it this way now. Just hear me, so that you don't move the goalpost. You meet a guy, he respects you. He's respectful enough.
Yes.
Okay? The man earns enough. He out-earns you in Naira and Kobo. But his Naira and Kobo that out-earns you cannot get the apartment you live in Lagos. And his job is in Lagos. So what happens? You cut him loose.
He earns more than me. He's respectful.
But the cost of living where he stays cannot maintain the standard where you are. That's why the fact that he out-earns you. So
What do you do?
And he has to stay in that place because of his job.
Definitely.
of course now he needs to
Keep that job.
he needs to keep that job to keep
Yes.
you.
No, he
So-
can't leave the job.
So what would he do?
Wait, let me think. No, I can't break up with him.
I can see that you have not thought through this before.
Definitely.
I've not touched that.
Okay, obviously. So I will tell you this. Then what you have said now that the man has to be more than you don't know what you're talking about. I have proven to you by way of calculation that you do not know what you're talking about. You have these vague ideas in your head, probably, that comes from maybe either people you might have dated in the past or whatever, but you don't know what you're talking about from a financial standpoint. If I ask you how much his total income look like, you cannot tell me. Because first and foremost, you have to calculate it backwards from if you look at your lifestyle now, room and parlor self-contained in Maryland. Someone should give me the maths, please. What does it cost? I'm picking Maryland for a reason. 750k, so 750 grand. So that guy has to take out, if he's living in room and parlor self-contained and he wants to stay at your level, he has to take out at least 62,500 from his salary every month to pay for the accommodation. That's basically what it means. So that man already has 62,500 and you've not factored in transportation. Let's assume he lives around Yaba axis and he manages to take 1,000 to work, 1,000 back, and it goes to work 23 days a week, 23 days a month. That man is going to spend 46,000 on transportation. Add it to the cost or whatever. That man has to earn roughly 108,500 just to pay for his accommodation and this. And when you meet him, he will still not be more than your level.
How about if we're in the same location like Abeokuta, where a room and parlor self-contained is 350?
Okay, so now that takes us also to the fact that the men in Abeokuta who earn the kind of money you are looking for and all that, and who you will look up to, how many of them in Abeokuta? Then that's going to be an issue because you're going to keep waiting for a man who probably is in a particular location, but his location he earns more than you, but his standard of living is less.
Yeah.
You have to put these things in figure. And that's why we're asking specific questions. That has nothing to do with mental preparation. It's not mental now. Okay, the only mental preparation which we see in the conversation probably is the fact that you have to mentally calculate what those costs will look like. Because you may have to, your mental preparation, you may have to mentally prepare yourself to drop your lifestyle and move to where the man is. Because you cannot ask the man to leave his source of income that you use to support your family to come and stay in a place where he will just be sitting beside you. That's how somebody I know who is hosting a TV show, a talk show, ended up in one backwards bush somewhere.
And that's where sacrifice comes in.
Okay, don't go another level.
I'll be like, okay.
Because you're going to meet lots of young men who are intentional. When they talk to you and you start listing out, the guy must have. I mean, I can imagine if any single man here hearing you that he must have a room and parlor self-contained, and the guy probably lives with his parents in Maryland, is calculating, and his mind is like, let me just free this girl.
I did not say it like that. I said he should earn more than me. Like, I believe women want their men to earn more than them. That's what I mean. And I don't want to drop my standard for him.
You see, listen. Are you guys following this conversation? Am I strange? You want a guy who earns more than you, but you live in Abeokuta. Now, I know Abeokuta a bit, and I have an idea that some of the men, there are men in Abeokuta who I'm sure earn more than you.
Yeah.
For example, they run taxi services in the taxi park in Koto. If you sit down and aggregate their income, they probably earn more than you. Some of them are in their mid-40s. Maybe they are widowed. They did not finish secondary school. They out-earn you.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the problem with those men?
They are widowed and they are good.
You don't want the men in Abeokuta that out-earn you, but the men who probably in Lagos who out-earn you cannot match your Abeokuta standard of living in Lagos.
Yeah. So that's the dilemma.
I think you really need to sit down and compute what any man who is going to toast you must earn in which city. I'm sorry if you're saying my monopolized conversation, but I just wanted to cut through. Do you have a variation different from what she's saying?
Yes.
What's your variation?
So, to start up a family or parenting, I would say, first of all, starting a family, you need a place to live. Like a comfortable place to live, a good society at that. Because raising a child in the society nowadays affects the children and how they think.
Okay, so you've also gone down the path. Where?
It's good.
Where's that
good
good
place?
society?
Banana Island, VI. Because I'm saying from where I grew up, the mentality, even till today, I am still traumatized. Growing up in an area whereby they kill people every day, they do all sorts of.
So what part?
They don't kill Banana
Okay,
Island.
I grew up with my aunties as a Jaconde.
Where's Jaconde?
Jaconde.
Everybody's dreaming of going to Lekki and you are here.
So, everybody believes.
No,
Jaconde is a place where cultism is like a normal thing, and
Where's cultism number one in Nigeria?
Is that true?
Yes.
Jaconde, it's really that bad.
Where is Jaconde? Is it Jaconde?
Shakpa, London, all that area,
yeah,
right?
before
Okay.
London. So there was one day I was in my house with my auntie's house, and then a bullet came in. It hit the fan and fell on the floor. Just where I used to lie down on my bed directly.
Okay, so we get that.
That's very bad.
Okay, so the only secure and safe place in the whole of Nigeria is Banana Island.
I'm not saying these are the only
secured,
secured places in Lagos or in Nigeria. They are fine.
Okay, so listen, we see boiled backwards. All this stuff now, this stuff you are saying, are you going to pay for it?
Prosecute.
Are you going to pay for the security and for?
Yes, if the money is there, no problem.
If the money, do you have the money? That's what we're asking.
Before,
Right now, as I'm talking about, do you have the money?
I do not have the
Okay,
money.
how much money do you think it will cost you to live in a safe neighborhood?
Like Banana Island.
Here, I'm not talking about 100 or 200,000. I'm
Just
talking
give us
about
a-
millions.
How much? How much
I
millions?
wouldn't mind if I have up to 500 or 600 million in my account.
Wow. But who would mind if you have it? It's what matters. I'm
Girl,
telling
you're
you.
shitting me
To
right now. What
secure
did I-
such security.
Wow. Like,
So
how do you get there? Yeah, that's a hypothetical situation. How do we now walk back from that place
Okay.
to where we are?
how do I?
She was saying you need someone that is higher than your standard.
well,
At this point, I actually want someone that is above my
Doctor.
standard, but at the same time, I'm not going to say that he should have more money than I do, because we can put the money
But you
together.
need money for the security.
All right, so you're talking about 500 million.
Yeah, 500 million.
That's like half a billion, right?
Yes, that's
I will not laugh. Listen, I will not laugh about it. Okay?
For real. But it's
No, but I don't even enter our list down now. Please, just don't. Okay, so 500 million naira. So your own idea is 500 million naira. How much would you spend monthly for?
security.
No, not for security. For the cost of rent, security, and all that in the hypothetical Banana Island. In a Banana Island, how much would you spend on an annual basis?
I do not plan on paying rent. I plan on buying my own land and building my own house.
Okay, so you want to buy land. We're not okay. So how much will that cost you? Let's just have
Getting a land. I'm not talking about the future now. I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
Getting a land now, you need about 1.6 or 2 million to get a land.
Not in Banana.
Is it 1.6 million? Is it naira?
Okay.
No, please. Is it naira?
Could be dollars.
Now, yes.
Is it a land of this size?
Yeah, exactly.
A full plot, but half plot should be that.
Where? Where? Like, in Banana Island.
That's the reason why I call that.
I sold half a plot of land. That's 12 years back.
That 500 million won't be able to get a land in Banana Island.
Let's not speak derogatorily. We're talking through this is a thought experiment right now, and there's a reason why we're having this conversation. Okay, we're having this conversation so that we can get practical answers. So, a plot of land. Are you talking about? Is it 1.2 million naira or 1.2 million dollars? We have to be clear. In Banana Island, how much do you think it costs? We're not making fun of you. We just want to have an idea to benchmark your thoughts. Is it 1.2 million or is it 1.2 million naira or dollars? 1.2 million naira.
Let me check.
Do you have an idea of the range or the figure?
I'm not really good with numbers.
Okay, so just give me, is it naira? 1.2 million naira for a plot in Banana Island. Just get some. Yes, okay, so your thoughts, please. Someone should help us check how much the cost. Can you help us check the cost of property in Banana Island? All right, so the average price of land in Banana Island is 1.4 million per square meter. The most expensive land costs 633 million per square meter, while the cheapest costs 1 million per square meter. There are 233 available land for sale in Banana Island. The land have been listed by estate agents. So effectively, what he's saying is it per square meter. How many square meter do we have in a plot of land? Usually a plot of land probably goes between, I think, about 33 by maybe 15, 16 or so. I mean, not feet, in meter. So roughly, you probably will be spending, if you multiply 33 by 15, someone help me with the math, 33 times 15 should give us somewhere around the range of almost 480, 500, thereabout. So you're going to spend minimum of at least $500 million.
495 million.
Just to buy the land. We don't know whether it's $500
million to buy the land. And then you have to fill it.
He has a budget of 500 million. So.
Yeah, but I would just probably buy you the water now. You haven't poured sand.
That's true.
Okay, I allow this conversation to go this far because I will tell you this, that to buy a plot of land in Banana Island, probably you'll be spending close to $1 billion naira. And that was even before the dollar naira exchange rate shot up. Okay, so that's the cost. It's $1 billion. Which leads me to ask, how do you plan to pay for that? Please do not feel bad about it. Just let's hear your thoughts.
How do I plan to pay for?
Fund that amount.
Fund $1 billion.
I am someone who is into too many things because, should I say, I am multi-talented. So I do so many things at the same time. So like a different stream of income, and I expect the person who I am going to marry, who will be willing to marry me, to have a better paying job or different stream of income too.
How many jobs?
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? Are you familiar with the price range, like cadres level of income in Nigeria, both private sector, tech sector, and everything? Are you familiar? So let me use a scenario whereby you work in IT company, oil and gas. For entry level, going by entry level in most of your companies, between the range of 9 million to 12 million per annum. And you have your own idea. And looking at the age, whereby the benchmark you give yourself to get married, where you feel like age, just the age factor alone. Do you factor the numbers of years, things you need to factor numbers of years to work before you go accumulate that? And even beyond, I just feel like some women are not actually in sync with the reality of life. Finance, not even life, the finance that comes with getting married and the standard of living you want for yourself. Like you're not in sync with your financial, your finance income and the standard of life you want to live. They are not in sync. That's just my perspective. So far.
I would say this, and I would say, please, let's not. I think Esther's people are allowed to have their preferences on the show. We say it on the show. You can have your preference, but the problem is, can you get it? Can you get a man who has $1 billion, all right, to propose marriage to you?
Okay, so research shows that only the top 1% of the richest individuals in Nigeria earn at least 20 million naira annually, and that is the top 1%. So
I would say this: if you want to, I won't mock her, okay? Because do you understand? It's possible. Her name is Esther, and I think that came from biblical Esther that married the king and all that. Even though we have 3 Esthers in the studio, but the point is, it's achievable. But I'll tell you that it's extremely hard. It's hard to find such a man. And if you find such a man, most likely that kind of a man, everybody is looking for him.
He's cheating,
even me, that I'm not. I mean, if I meet, it's part of the reason why we're doing this podcast. Perhaps that man may see, and we can meet him. All right. So we're not mocking you, but I'll just tell you that you have to keep it at the back of your mind, because if you are serious about starting a family and your entry level requirement is $1 billion house in Banana Island, you probably may want to be looking at maybe dating some of these Lebanese or these expatriates who are doing international business.
Exactly.
And that means that your life and whatever has to put you. Luckily for you, you're still relatively young, so you probably have something that they would want. But the challenge is getting them to agree to marry you as a wife. It's usually, particularly because you're going to face stiff competition. There are going to be lots of people who also want. So most of those people tend to marry in the family. They tend to marry people who come from families like themselves, who come from extremely wealthy families. And the wealth is usually not their own wealth. It's like family kind of wealth.
Exactly.
So you have to keep that at the back of your mind. I'm just saying, because if you hear the way most of the men in the room they're talking, in their mind, what they are thinking is that they are just being polite. They may just feel that you probably don't know what you're talking about, or it's doable, but your chances of achieving it is extremely slim.
Yeah.
Extremely. Unless you maybe you leave Nigeria and you relocate to a country where maybe you go to a country like
maybe Arab or Kuwait
or you work in Silicon Valley. But if it's in this like Lagos, it's hard to find such men. You won't meet them on dating apps. You probably will not also meet them. You would have to be where they are, and unless you go to do such places. You're a woman, so you may get invitations. There may be places you go that most men are not aware of. So that's why I don't want to. And if you do marry such a man, I'm ready to serve you and your family. So now that I've said this politely, I'm going to destroy what you've said. Please do not follow what she's saying. And I'll tell you why you shouldn't follow. If you're a lady, the reason why I would advise not to follow what she's saying is because it's achievable, but probably for just maybe one person, maybe one woman in the whole of Nigeria might be able to get that kind of outcome. And so if you are focused on that, it's going to create problems, because if you see, you can find someone like Regina Daniels or so. She married Ned Nwoko. The guy is a billionaire. But she had to leave her boyfriend to marry, and the guy was a billionaire. He was an old man. He had other wives. So if you are willing to that kind of trade-off, it's doable. most
chances
men will
of it
not
coming
be
to
able to
reality.
meet up with that. I would say this. That instead of putting narrow and cover, I think you should look at what the functional. This is my thoughts.
My kind of prospect for a guy before any marriage can come in is, I think, aside the financial aspect, there should be a kind of honesty and then reliability. Is the person willing to support me? Because guys can be financially okay and then where to do. Are they ready to carry along the responsibility of the marriage? And then are they ready to support my dream? Fine, I might not be heading up to their standard. My standard might be below their own standard, but are they willing to support me?
You will share
support
50-50, why not?
I don't understand what you mean.
You
by
go
that.
50-50, why not?
That's
What
our
you
own
just trying to
preference,
say is
bro.
just like
For a
you
man.
need a man that has a sense of responsibility, regardless of your own income or financial status.
What is your dream actually that you want for someone to support?
We all have our goals, and
That's
then
fine,
what if
Baba.
our goals are not aligned? That doesn't like the efforts. We're not going towards the same
Well, I
effort.
think for
Please let me ask,
Exactly.
what are those dreams? Because you can't just throw vague things. Someone's going to watch this video, they will see what are those dreams.
Okay. The guy might be seeing my own dreams in another angle. Fine. I'm the fashion aspect, and then he might be seeing me like, why can't I bring in the tech into the fashion industry? Because right now in the fashion line, we need the social media marketing, all this digital marketing, and then I might not be kind of inclined in that aspect, and then he might be trying to impose that on me. That why can't I deviate and then try to merge it together?
You get talking and find the balance point.
I
think
That's
it's
I
it's not
personally
easy.
feel that
There was something that happened. I and my statement were talking about something. He is in it. God, I can't say it like that. I don't know if you watch the show. Okay, so sorry, statement. If you're hearing this, I and my statement we're discussing about something.
Yeah,
So
Are you a politician?
a military, paramilitary.
Okay.
So his girlfriend, or let me say fiance, is this type of lady that wants the soft life. So she just wants to. She's not relying on a man to provide for her, but she's not. The man sees her as, you're not putting more effort. I want you to go into tech. You're not doing that. I guess that's aligning with yourself. You're not. So he's trying to force his imaginary woman
him.
on that
On
lady,
her, rather.
and the lady is not accepting her. That is causing another rift. So I guess that's where you come in and say, maybe if your dreams are not aligning. That's matter of understanding. If you know how
you get
to.
talking.
exactly,
easy.
which is why I feel
Something
that.
has exposed it.
It's just
How
that,
many years talking?
Which is why I feel that
Just
before
dialogue.
couples or before people get married, they need to, just like what she said, which I totally agree with her, they need to have an open and honest conversation with each
Exactly.
other. So then, not just having an honest and open conversations, they need to set expectations, know what each other, know what they want, know if their goals align with each other. Because if it does not align, at the end of the day, it just ends.
Okay, we live in a world in which one of the challenges that I think we have now is with social media and with movies and all manner of things. People have ideas now that did not exist many years ago. And some of those ideas are barriers that we have put in our pathway. Okay, and I've spoken to you in the conversations we've had. What do people need to survive? They need 3 meals a day. Okay, they need clothes to wear, a place where they can, a roof over their head, a basic roof. We don't need, there are lots of luxuries that are not necessary, but we want to have them. This idea that you will find somebody who will meet all these your needs, I respect you guys for having those ideas, but there's nobody who's going to meet all those
Everybody
needs.
has to set their
You get me?
standard though.
We have the primary duty of, my own opinion, primary duty of a husband is to ensure that everybody is fed and the rain does not beat them.
Exactly.
It's as existential as that.
That's the basic.
Okay, so that's the basics.
That's the basics.
If you have those basics met, I think people should be open to working from there and not all these ideas about expectation. It's fantastic. I mean, you can expect whatever it is you want, but the issue is, can you get it? We also act as though the marketplace is not competitive. As you are thinking you want to compete for Esther now. Esther is also looking for a billionaire. You basically, effectively, if a billionaire shows up, if you want to date Esther, you're competing against a billionaire.
Yeah.
And there's no assurance that there's no amount of motivational speaking that you can use to motivate yourself into becoming a billionaire. You get so markets relationships are a bit competitive for most people. The basics people need to support a family. This is the view of the show. As the host of the show, you need a place to put. You need a place to put your family and put if you have a fridge so that you can store food. I'm making it as banal as possible so that you can think about it. You need a place to put your family so that when the rain falls, it doesn't fall on people. You need a place you can keep a fridge, a place that you can put a gas cooker and keep some pots so that when you cook all right, other people will not come and carry the pots and run away with it. That's basic.
And a padlock to lock.
You need a source of income because most people do not farm nowadays. So you have to exchange your sweat for money. Unless you inherit a farm or inherit a factory or inherit a large business. So if you have that, more power to you. If you don't have that, you need a source of income for men. You also need, all right, to be able to pay for the living expenses of a family, maybe like children in the first 3 years or so. Some people will tell you that the first 3 to 4 years of the marriage, you should expect to have 2 children. And so you want to cover the cost of delivery for the children. You want to cover the cost of immunization, basic healthcare, if they're going to take infant formula, and also the cost of daycare. Depending on the city you are in, you would have a range between 1 million to 3 million in Naira. Okay, depending on the city you are in. So that gives you a good starting place to work from. And I have seen men who did not have all those things, that over time those things came. Yeah. And I've also seen men who didn't have all those things, that over time again, those things still come. But they have families and they are managing themselves, okay? And this particularly is going to women. The conversation we're having particularly. Okay, this idea of mental preparedness. Again, I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I'm saying that compute what it needs to live. What you need to live. Just sit back and compute it for the city you want to live in. And if you have that figure, find men who can meet that standard. Usually the man would be for Nigeria, the way things are, the man will be in his mid-30s, upwards, usually, unless he has an inheritance. And then once you find that kind of a man, all right, you have to find a way to lock it down as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. The older you get, the much more difficult it becomes, particularly because men, the older they are, once their income is in place, they have a much larger pool of men to select from. So it means the older you get, you may have to open your minds to dating people who are widowers, or dating people who are divorced, or dating people who have had children before. Okay? Some of them can support a family, but they may not look like that young man that can turn you up and down. Those are the thoughts generally of the show.